Right. Here we go then. 5 lights on. 5 lights here for Retro Racing. We're away. And it's a pretty decent start for the Williams. It's a great start for the Jordan. Goes past the Benetton, who's had an absolute shocking start. He's barely moved off the grid. As meanwhile, Matty up into P2. The Brawn takes the lead. The £1 car takes P1. There's a spin for the Ferrari and the Mercedes. The two of the 3 current teams on the real life F1 grid are both round at turn 1. Off wide goes the second of the Benettons. That's Lewis Missile, who's missiled it into the gravel trap. The Ferrari of Phoenix being hit like a menace by the Mercedes of Timan, as the Williams here side by side with the Ferrari, and they make contact heading through the Dunlop S. Wide there for Timan in the Mercedes, but there's battling here for the top 3 as I predicted in qualifying, but it's not what I expected. James getting a poor start in the Benetton. I think there's battling as well, as into the back of the Williams goes the other Benetton of Lewis. Meanwhile, Devons and the Jordan side by side. Matty and Devons side by side. It's Brawn versus Jordan heading up 130R. Side by side. We go on board with James, who's just behind this battle. We have the other Benetton having a little scrap behind as well, but getting ahead is the Jordan, who goes from 3rd to 1st by the first time we get to the Casio Triangle in race trim. The Jordan and Matty leads the first lap of Retro Racing in championship format, and he takes the fastest lap to boot. As meanwhile, look at this battle with DXRCS and Lewis Missile. Mentors down the inside, contact for the Jordan, nearly round, but the Brawn fending them off. Incredible racecraft by these 3. As into the pits comes the other Benetton of Missile Lewis. Meanwhile, James, who's the green Benetton you can see in the picture, behind the yellow and black Jordan, watching an absolute spectacle of racing. They were side by side through turn 1. Devon's taken the lead with authority in that Brawn, and his team principal Ross Brawn is going to be absolutely impressed with that. Is Devons. As meanwhile, Eddie Jordan be hoping for a bit better, as the man who used to be the team principal for the Jordan team, the hobby drummer. Meanwhile, the hobby gravel trap explorer of Timan goes into another one down at the hairpin just before 200R, as the Benetton of James went a bit wide there. We look from the rear end of the Jordan, the rear end of the Brawn. We see the Jordan reeling us in, but he's not able to make a move yet, is he? As we head down into the Casio Triangle, the possible race strategies being starting on the mediums is a 1-stop on lap 25 to 23, and it's also a 2-stop as well. That's being predicted by the AWS graphic. As round the outside of the first corner goes Matty, who takes the lead back for Jordan. But the Brawn looking on the inside, the Loop Brawn looking for the move on the inside of first curve as they go through the S's now. The Suzuka S's, and then, wait for it, through the anti-bank corner with Devons and with the Jordan. Then comes James through anti-bank corner into the Dunlop corner. I was about to call it the Dunlop Loop then, but probably not the right name for it. So we head through the Degners. Now Degners actually meant to be 1 corner, but as they head underneath the entry of 130R, as this track is a figure of 8, and they head into the hairpin, and then through 200R, through the undulation, with the Brawn, who's trying to catch back up to the Jordan and take Brawn back to where they have always been in terms of F1 championship status. Always in first, apart from when Red Bull won against them, and in Belgium when Kimi Räikkönen won. And meanwhile, so they head through 130R then. This is the closest battle on track on the record at the moment. And it looks like Missile Lewis is trying to catch up to DXR CES as Matty sets the fastest lap in the Jordan, but he's not going to be fast enough with the straight line speed to fend off the DRS powered Brawn. And Brawn in its first race with DRS, is back in 2009. It didn't have DRS, but it did have KERS, which it's using to great effect. Obviously, it's under a different name now, under ERS, but it's still pretty much KERS, just with the K removed. But the Brawn using the KERS to its advantage. And instead of a double diffuser, it's got the double Devon defending at the moment. There's Matty being fended off as into the gravel there for Devon. He's broken under pressure. They're side by side into the hairpin. Round the outside. He's made the move stick, but has he? As there's the benefit of James. James is spun into the hairpin, and that's the wrong way into the hairpin, my pal. But meanwhile, we have the Brawn back behind the Jordan, and it looks like James fell under trying to catch up to James. James, the the one lap hot man, not being able to be the race pace drum and bass, heading round 130R with the Brawn and the Jordan. It's heading through, and there's a little battle as well on the track between the Benetton, who passes the Williams through the hairpin, but they nearly touch as the Williams brakes hard into the hairpin. Meanwhile, the Jordan swallowed up again by DRS, and for the second time, Devons uses his Brawn to DRS himself past Matty, who goes around the outside of the S's. He's not going to work there. He's fended off, and now he's going to go all the way through the S's, now into the anti-bank corner, which is a negative camber corner, and then heading up through the Dunlop S, or the Dunlop curve, should I say. That's over the undulation of that corner, and then through the Degner, the first apex, then the second apex. As the Degner curve is actually meant to be one corner with two apexes, and Matty's saying he needs to be P1 as down the outside and sliding for Devons. Devons drifting at the hairpin, and that has cost him around about 0.8 of a second from his win. Something happened between 5th and 6th. They both pitted. Looks like they did. Missile Lewis is on hards. I think that means the Williams is in the pits as well. I know Lewis lost his front wing early doors. Not too sure what happened to the other person that pitted. Let's see, James. He's had a bit of a rocky start. He's had a farcical start, but hopefully he's able to claw that back in the remaining few laps of this Grand Prix, as there is a lot of laps left of this Grand Prix, has to be said, as Matty pulling away from Devons. He's backing out at the moment. Maybe Devons is going through a bit of tyre grading, or he's just saving his ERS. And if any team knows how to work their KERS or their ERS, it would be Brawn, as they won the championship the first year it was brought into F1. Back in 2009, they brought in KERS to be used. As the Jordan, obviously, didn't have any KERS, didn't even have DRS back in the day. Just had old school drafting. As meanwhile, there's an old school spin for the pole sit up. He's going to get passed by the Ferrari on the outside just before Degner corner. As James now on a chase to catch the Scarlet Red Ferrari. Meanwhile, there's a battle through 200R for Devons and Matty. TCL Matty trying to stay ahead of Devons in the number 30 Brawn, if I'm not mistaken. As through 200R with the Ferrari and the Benetton James through Spoon Curve. The Brawn through 130R, looking to fight away past the Jordan. Is heading out of the Casio Triangle for the 6th time. And onto the straight. This is where a move can be made. In the slipstream, in the draft, and on the outside of first curve to take the lead. If he can hold the momentum, which he's just about able to do. Contact with the Jordan into the S's, but the Brawn stays in the lead, takes the lead from Matty. who's had it for the last three laps. Meanwhile, we have the Ferrari who's lost out to James while that was happening. We have... Oh, wide there for the Brawn. The Jordan's going to go through. Matty taking the lead. Back from the Brawn, who had it for a mere few corners. He had it for the whole first sector, but he couldn't keep it heading into the second sector of the 7th lap of this race. As through 200R into Spoon Curve, we have a second separating the Benetton from the Ferrari. And then from 4th lower, we have gaps well over 5 seconds separating the field. As meanwhile, heading into 130R with the Brawn, who's behind the Jordan. 1, 2, going past the camera. And they head into the Casio Triangle with a point to prove, ironically. One of them trying to take Jordan back to the top step of the podium, a place where they haven't been as the Jordan name since 1998, but the Brawn's going to take it away from them. As inside goes Devons, and taking that opportunity away from Matty for the time being. James taking the fastest lap in this Benetton is his redemption arc is looking to be slowly starting. Heading over the Dunlop S. As I was saying about Jordan, they haven't won since the 1998 Belgian Grand Prix. And I reckon a lot of people would know that race purely from that wreck at the start. That red flagged the race and took out a mere 14 cars. Luckily spare cars were allowed back then. Spare cars are not allowed now though. And that's something that the Jordan team are going to have to get used to. We have the might of Eddie Jordan versus the might of Ross Brawn, and they're side by side into Spoon Curve here in F124. And on the inside goes Matty, who takes it at Spoon Curve, but he goes wide on the exit, and he's going to let the Brawn back through as they go over the secondary start line. As the Jordan takes back the advantage, he fends off the Brawn, who's been on his tail all lap. But heading into the Casio Triangle, the Brawn not letting the Jordan have a whiff of a breath. Meanwhile, we have the Williams. There's a bit of traffic here. Meanwhile, on the outside, with DRS and Slipstream and probably a bit of Kers, the Brawn gets back in front for... Oh, and there's contact there! I think the front wing's got off. On the Brawn it has. There's a virtual safety car. The Williams has taken the Brawn's front wing off. And in a very Nakajima-like move, DXRS has changed the entire complexion of this race. And there's damage on the front wing as well for Matty. Absolutely insane. Also, while we were watching that, the Benetton has called up to the Mercedes of Timen. But James has also fended off the Ferrari. This is going to change the entire complexion of the race. As the Williams trying to get out of the way, but he was just on the apex. And the Brawn running into the back of him. And the Jordan as well doing the same thing. As there's the first penalty of the race has been applied to the Benetton and Lewis Missile, who's missiled over track limits too many times. As meanwhile, top outside on the VSC on the full course yellow restart into Spoon Curve, and on the inside again, and they both go off the track. The Brawn stays around the outside, but doesn't have the grip. I reckon they'll both be into the pits this lap then. Very uncharacteristic stuff here. So heading into 130R, drama for Jordan and drama for the Brawn. As the Brawn going wide at 130R there, I think he kicked up a bit of dirt on the inside exit. As they both come into the pits, they do both go into the pits. So they both just about get within the speed limit. They both go into the pits. Meanwhile, that means James and the Benetton is going to take the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix here in Retro Racing. Then comes the Ferrari of Phoenix. Then out ahead of the Brawn goes the Jordan. Then behind those two coming out the pits is the kind of the younger brother of Braun, the Mercedes. Then comes the second Benetton on the grid, Lewis Missile. Then comes the Williams that has just caused a massive amount of drama of DXR in the number 48 Williams, who's actually now got the Benetton of James and the Ferrari of Phoenix catching up. Is there going to be more drama for these guys? There nearly is. As slowing up again on the apex. As we look from the behind of. I think that's just been changed position here. There is Timmen and Lewis. Lewis has a broken front wing, but he's going to go down the inside. It's very. Well, there was optimism there, but it didn't really turn out to anything. As meanwhile, there's a yellow flag for that down at Sector 1. But here at Sector 3, there's two battles here. One for the podium, one for the win. As heading through 130R with the Ferrari, who's half a second back. That's not going to be a move made. Here's the Braun, the 2009 Formula 1 Constructors World Champion, battling against a team that hasn't won a Grand Prix race since 1998 with Damon Hill. But now they have a chance to do it again here in league racing format. But that drama with the Williams may cause an issue. Also, this battle with the Ferrari and the Benetton is heating up, as obviously these two, as Devons gets back past the Jordan, and he goes back up into third. Whether that will be the net race lead or not is still yet to be seen. Heading through the S's then, as through anti-bank corner with the people in third and fourth. They still have the Williams to clear yet as well, that traffic. This is like World Endurance commentary, and it might seem like it, but we have the Williams here, kind of being a bit of an LMGT3, and he slows up on the apex again, and that might compromise the Braun, as on the inside of the little kink before the hairpin is the Jordan, who locks the rear tyre, nearly spins. These two, even though they're not battling for the actual race win, are still battling as if it's the World Championship last lap, as the Braun stays ahead, and then meanwhile up ahead in 1 and 2 we have, it's quite fittingly actually, Michael Schumacher's two cars that he won the World Championship in, the Benetton and the Ferrari. So he won in the Benetton before he won the Ferrari, but he didn't win in a Braun or a Jordan. Meanwhile, they swap positions again, the Jordan back ahead of the white and lime car. They head out the Casio Triangle. They both, it's like a similar battle to Alesi and Senna back in Adelaide, as they go down. Oh no, it was Phoenix, wasn't it? But meanwhile, the Braun goes around the outside, gets ahead of Matti. I'm trying to think of another time I've seen a battle like this. I think quite fittingly in Japan in Fuji back in 2008 with Robert Kubica and Felipe Massa. They were battling in a very ferocious way, and meanwhile the lead has changed. The Ferrari, the prancing horse, is up in the lead, ahead of the Benetton. Matti has got ahead of the Braun. Did the Braun go off? He did. The Braun went in the grass. Did he get wing damage from it? No, he didn't. But the Braun has come a cropper in the Degner section. That is not ideal. I'm not sure what happened there, but it looked like he came off the inside of the corner, or maybe ran out to the outside. Not too sure. Meanwhile, James on the back of the Ferrari heading into 130R. Is he going to make the move stick? No, but we're heading into the Casio Triangle, and he spins! Huge spin for the Benetton, who rear ends the barrier, it looked like. And the Ferrari's lead goes from under a second to over 4 seconds. As now, would that be rear wing damage for James, do you think? Not too sure. There was a spin for a Sauber in F120 in an F125 league, Ground Effect Racing League. Spin for a driver called Kirsch in the Sauber in F125, who was battling with a Haas called Pontic through that corner, and he had a very similar spin to what James just had there. So it seems going wide out 130R on the limit does turn you into a cropper, especially if you try and turn the car in a way where the car doesn't want to be turned, it will just throw you off. As we head over the Dunlop curve. Whereas meanwhile, the leader has a penalty though. How big is the penalty? Should we see? 3-second penalty, so James is still on aggregate in the lead of this race, depending if penalties get taken off or not. Devons is definitely ahead of Matty, as they both don't have penalties. But these two are definitely still battling like absolute savage predators on this racetrack at the moment. As there was a battle with Devils Latifi and Lucas Racing in Ground Effect Racing League, in Golden Racing League for the race for Jules in Tier 1 of that league. But that was towards the end. This has been all race so far between these two great manufacturers, and they're still going for it. The Jordan on the outside taking the lead ahead of the Brawn, and the team the Jordan, which took a pole position away from the Brawn back in 2009 under the Force India name with Giancarlo Fisichella, has now lost that position again as James is right again. No, it's Missile in the Benetton. That was nearly drama there. Well, there was drama, just not as much drama as I anticipated. Jordan getting overtaken again by the Brawn. Yeah, as I was saying, the Jordan who in 2009 under the Force India name took a pole position with Giancarlo Fisichella in the Belgian Grand Prix. So when we get to Belgium, it will be a great round to be a Jordan driver, as there'll be a lot to remember. So obviously being the track where Michael Schumacher made his debut. Speaking of Schumacher, his 2 championship winning teams are up in front here in Retro Racing, in Double R Racing. We could call it Triple R and just call it that. We have I think there's still battling going on between these two. I want to look at other battles, but I simply can't because these two keep nabbing my attention. Because they are just looking to rip 7 shades of Suzuka out of each other. It's absolutely incredible to watch, but scary at the same time. And it looks like they could do it again as heading into the Casio Triangle. Inside for the Jordan, outside for the Brawn. Who's going to take the lead this time? It will be Matthew, comes out in front of this battle. Meanwhile, for the actual race lead, the Ferrari defends to the inside, but scooping to the outside in a very Fernando Alonso-like move is James, who takes it ahead of the Ferrari. So the Benetton back in the lead. It's 1-6 for Benetton at the moment. It's 3-4 for the two men who are absolutely aggravated today in terms of their racecraft and their battling. It's absolutely scary but crazy as well. 14 laps of crazy racing, it's an understatement, it has to be said. As I was about to say, I don't think Matty or Devon have a wife or 2 kids at home, but it doesn't look like they care at the moment, as they both know they both aren't backing out, and they're both on the verge of having a huge monumental wreck. As through 200R with the leaders then, Phoenix and James looking to duel as well. But meanwhile, speaking of this duel between the Jordan and the Brawn is it's almost like a Star Wars duel, as meanwhile the Ferrari looking to get back ahead of the Benetton. The Ferrari on the inside of 130R takes the lead of the race, and he forces the Benetton off the track. In doing so, they're heading into the Casio Triangle. He went through on the inside, but it looked like he picked up understeer there and just carted his rival out wide. But obviously, this being 2024 regulations, he got to the apex first, so he's allowed to do it. Meanwhile, on the outside, on the grass, that's a bit messy there for the Benetton, who doesn't get ahead. He faked to the inside, he went to the outside afterwards, hit the grass, hit the Ferrari side pod, and didn't make the move stick. Meanwhile, these two battling like Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars Episode 3, which was an absolutely frantic duel of attack and defense. They're doing the F1 version of that, and the Brawl on the grass. He doesn't go off, luckily, but that battle nearly came to a grim end here on lap 16 of the Japanese Grand Prix. There's Benetton traffic with the Jordan. Or there's Jordan traffic with the Benetton. And the Benetton doesn't cause as much disruption as the Williams caused earlier on. The Williams helping cause the VSC from about half the race ago, around lap 8. As heading down 130 are here side by side with the Benetton, who's alongside the Ferrari. They go up to about 200 kilometers an hour, and round the outside for the Ferrari. He stays ahead momentarily, but heading into the Casio Triangle, the Benetton, oh, the Ferrari got wide there. The Ferrari got wide, that's going to leave him vulnerable. The Brawn gets back ahead of the Jordan Amati, who looks like he had a bit of traffic trouble. Meanwhile, the Benetton gets up to the lead. And without any grass work, without any fancy around the outside stuff, just a simple textbook move that gives him the lead of the race by 0.3 of a second. And also, he doesn't want to risk too much as well, because look, there's a penalty still there, so if that doesn't get taken off, James will most definitely still win. And also have Devons behind him as well. But Devons is actually catching this battle. This could be a 4-way battle here in Japan, which, if Matty is able to catch back up, but it looked like he was struggling with the Benetton of Lewis Missile. Yeah, I have to say, if this is a 4-way battle, last time I saw a 4-way battle in Japan in sim racing was the Golden Racing League race for Jules, as there's Missile going off underneath the entry of 130R. But yeah, if this becomes a 4-way battle, I saw a 4-way battle in Golden Racing League in the race for Jules in Tier 2. And it was just on the exit of a safety car restart, and it was right at the end of the race, and it was frantic. So if I know anything, a 4-way battle in Japan always ends well, but this time it's with equal cars, with old school teams. Last in Golden Racing League in Tier 2, it had Sauber, it had Aston Martin, it had McLaren, and it had a Haas. Here we have a Ferrari, we have a Brawn, we have a Jordan, which did become Aston Martin, but we also have a Benetton, which has gone on to become Alpine. Well, it looks like Matty's dropped off a bit, so maybe it will be a 3-way battle for the win for now. Obviously, beggars can't be choosers, but I would love to see a more than 2-car battle, and involving one of Devons or Matty, but preferably both. Meanwhile, James looks like he sorted out his bad start, capitalising off of that VSC caused after the drama, as there's a lot of dust being kicked up there. That might have been from Timan up ahead, who looks like he's going to become the third piece of traffic in this 4-way battle. As wide for the Jordan on the gravel. Not a recommended line through there as a lock up for the Benetton. The Ferrari's looking to capitalise, but in doing so, he's actually gone wide there, left the Brawn a wide open door, and the Mercedes nearly making contact with the Benetton there. That was hairy. As meanwhile, we have the Ferrari and the Brawn going side by side. We have the Mercedes going wide, the Brawn going past its younger brother, or younger brother team, should I say, is to the inside, and the two teams that Ross Brawn used to work for and has won championships with are now dueling it out here in retro racing for second place here in Japan, and at the place where Michael Schumacher won Ferrari's first championship since 1987 with Jody Scheckter. In 2025, it's going to be the place where Felix will lose the place to the Brawn of Devons. As losing the car there is the Benetton. I think I got the 1987 thing wrong. I think it might have been a bit later than that. Might have been 1990, I'm not too sure on that one. But we head through the S's with these 4 drivers, and they have gone together. Matty has closed up, and the Williams again causing issues as there's chaos and round for the Ferrari for the second time in this race. The Brawn goes round as well. The Williams and the Brawn coming to blows for the second time in this race. Nearly contact for the 5th place car of the second Benetton of Missile Lewis. James gets front wing damage. Matty has an open goal, as he has no damage from that chaos. That Williams has caused an absolute scene for the second time in a row. That is chaos. Chaos if I've ever seen it. As the Williams, I am speechless. That was pure traffic issues if I've ever seen it. I haven't seen traffic issues like that since the Dacia Logan of the Nürburgring 24 Hours. It's heading out of the Casio Triangle. Interesting. Matty does pit along with James, and Matty spins. And there's carnage. There's a penalty for the Ferrari for speeding in the pit lane. Devons, I think the Williams hit the back of the Jordan. More chaos with the Williams and the leaders. This means Lewis and Timming both get their lap back and are now both on the lead lap. And it's a full safety car. It's not a virtual, it's a full-blown safety car. As you can see from the full-blown safety car on the track, and they've overtaken it. But they should overtake it. As they are not the leaders. They're waiting to pick up the leader, which is James, who was lucky. Did he fix his... He didn't fix his front wing. His front wing's still damaged. Wow, this has been chaos so far. As if you thought 7 cars couldn't make a good race, trust me, I know from experience with Formula Asphalt, 7 cars is plenty of cars for a good race. There's wow, what a race has been so far. We've had traffic issues that we'd thought we'd only see in things like European Le Mans Series and WEC. We've had a battle between Matty and Devons that has made me question reality and physics. We've had we are shaping up to have a 4-way battle for the lead and a frantic restart, and we have a Williams that when things get boring, he's there to spice it all up, like Scotch Bonnet. And trust me, Scotch Bonnet is pure spice, and by spice I mean hot, as in my tongue has been burnt several times by it. But yeah, also my tongue's been burnt by commentating on this absolute masterpiece of a race. So just to give myself a little cool down, I'm gonna go and have a wee lavatory break.